Hey there everyone, I'm back again with another video and we are back at the end of week 2. I'm a little bit late getting this out because I have been sick, but hopefully everyone's been having a wonderful league so far. I've managed to get to play a decent amount, not a whole lot, as I said I've been sick, but we've played a decent amount and it's been going pretty well. This video I'm going to go over my currency making for the league so far, so if you want that, skip ahead a little bit. It'll be down in the description below. You can find the timestamps. Before I get into that though, I just want to go through and kind of talk about my league so far. So far it's been pretty good. This has been a good league starter. I'm pretty much at the stage where I'm about to switch out and try and make something in the end game. I've just got a little bit of farming to do and a little bit to finish. As you can see here, we look kind of broke, but we're not actually as broke as we may appear because we've been farming. And we have a lot to show for it. I'm a bit of a lazy crafter, I suppose, so a lot of my currency is actually in fracturings. Fractured T1 life amethyst ring, fractured T1 life amethyst ring. Those are amazing. Fractured T1 damage over time multi amulet, amazing. And that's basically where a lot of my money is. Again, 19% increased life regeneration rate, super important for our build. Fractured. And we're doing pretty good so far, honestly. We're still using our wand, or scepter, sorry, from the beginning of the game. And we have all of our clusters finally. Those are all done. Clusters are all done. All of our jewels are all in place. All dot multi life, burning damage, and or max res, and or dexterity. Everything's come together. We're pretty much set. I could craft my helmet in a mill, but I'm not going to. I think this is enough investment for a league starter. I just need to do my scepter a little bit, and you know, there's a fractured base I'm gonna buy for that, or I might just buy one outright because farming has been quite easy, and that's part of the reason why we're making this video. Currency. Let's get into it. Alright, so currency. To start with currency, I kind of want to go into the two different kind of ideas behind farming currency before we get anywhere into it. And that is target farming and RNG farming. So target farming is guaranteeing an outcome. Obviously, you know what you put in. You know exactly what you're going to get out every time. Then there is the RNG farming where you're after something of incredibly good value. You put money in, you aren't always going to get it back. And it's quite important, I think, to make the distinction between the two, because obviously the glamour of one can sometimes be kind of a bait if you don't get what you need and if you can't afford to not get what you need. So I just want to put that out there first, because before I go into it, because that's quite important to keep in mind. And you can probably see in the background here, there's some footage of me doing some maps, and these in my opinion are kind of one example of each type of thing. I've got, you know, one farm here that's guaranteed and one farm that is more RNG. There's always going to be a certain amount of guarantee. You're always guaranteed to get something provided you drop the map or you finish the map. It's a matter of if it's what you want and if it's enough. But I'm going to get started here right at the very beginning, assuming, because we're only in week 2 of the league, that you have done your maps, you've done your map progression, and I start farming at the very beginning. My process to getting my currency starts right at the very beginning in the progression tree, because when I make the progression tree, obviously I take Jun because I need to get some veiled crafts, but I also spec into Expedition early, because Expedition is the greatest source of early game gear and currency in my opinion, and if you don't do it earlier, I can't recommend it enough. Honestly, you don't have to stick to it, it doesn't have to become your game plan for the entire thing, but you know, you put in one node here, one node there, next thing you know, you see an expedition in your map, you put a bomb down, it blows up the whole area, you kill everything, it drops a couple of bits of currency, maybe you get like some scrap metal, or you get some coins, then you're getting free currency, you're getting ROG is making you good bits of gear. It just helps your progression along, and it's worth currency. especially ROG early on, you can either sell the raw currency, people will buy it, or you can use it and you will get stuff back for it, right? So it can be target farm or it can be RNG. If you use the currency yourself, you're accepting that it's RNG, you will get something back for it, but it might not be useful. But at the end of the day, at the very least, you can sell it, and the same goes for when the logbooks drop. So usually by the time I hit tier 16s, I've got a collection of logbooks, and I've got a collection of currency, and I will generally always spend my ROG currency, but not before I hit the tier 16s and the level, I am level 83 kind of equipment range. So he will make my gear, he will make gear that I can sell, and he'll make gear that I plan to use in the future. So I always use ROG stuff. I always spend Tujin stuff, even though they keep nerfing him. He's incredibly stingy this league, but he generally, so long as you get roughly 4 to 5 chaos worth per coin, I think he just kind of evens out, which isn't too bad. Occasionally he'll give you some divines, which is fantastic. One league he gave me a mirror shard, that was fun. Danig, I spend his obviously to get more ROG currency, to get more Tujin currency. Now the logbooks I tend not to run. I used to run them when Expedition was less stingy, but now I don't like to run them because I don't value spending my time in there that much. And, you know, you can get like 20 chaos, 25 chaos per item level 82, 83 logbook, and, you know, you're still making money. So say you get to the tier 16 part, you know, by the time we're there, we've got some logbooks we can sell, we can get ourselves about 100 chaos, and that's basically all you need to get started. And that's providing you go in with, like I mentioned at the beginning, on the guaranteed currency making step, rather than relying on the RNG. It's very hard, very easy to see a lot of streamers doing strategies where they throw like a divine worth of scarabs or more into a map, and they'll run it and they'll come out with pretty much nothing of equal value, and then they'll go out and they'll go back in because every 5 maps they're dropping something that's like 10 div or something like that, you know? And you want to kind of avoid those high risk, high reward scarab things. So this is where this league, I transitioned from doing expedition and progression, and I went straight into the stack deck farming. Stack deck farming is guaranteed outcome. What do I mean by guaranteed outcome? Like I said before, you know what you put in, you know what you get out. It costs 35 chaos worth of scarabs, which you can buy from Faustus now, so you don't even have to interact with the annoying trade system of the website and other players. You just hit up Faustus, I want 5 of these scarabs, here's 35 chaos, I can now do 1 map of stack deck farming. And you might be thinking, well, 1 map, you're not going to get what you need in 1 map, surely. Wrong. This is what I mean by this is target farming the outcome. We know what we're going to get, or at least I know what I'm going to get because obviously I've done it. You will have to take my word for it. But so long as you're running a tier 16 rare map, you will get roughly 40 chaos minimum. Well, no, not even minimum. It's probably going to be around about 50. You'll get about 40 stack decks minimum, 35 to 40 stack decks minimum on a regular red tier 16 map, not including any other currency that drops. It's guaranteed to pay for itself at like 1.4 to 1.5 chaos per stack deck. So, you know, you get 40 stack decks, you've made 60 chaos, it cost you 35 to take the map. You might think that's not very much. It's not, but that's the underlying baseline of what you're going to get. Everything else from the ritual, for example, or any other loot that drops from the mobs is all bonus currency. Everything is bonus currency. You will always pay back your investment and then some from the stack decks, and then everything else is just pure profit. And obviously, you know, that's just 1 map. We're showing that we can put 35C in, guarantee we're going to get about 50C out of the map, do it again, then another 50C out of the map, do 2 of them, Now we've got 100C out of 2 maps. You can see how it starts to multiply, right? And by the time you're running sets of like 20 to 50 maps, you're making 10 to 20 to 30 to 40 divines worth of profit, right? It's crazy how much it actually builds up, because obviously from the one map example you don't feel like you're going to be getting that much, and it's like, you know, it's to the point now that when I buy them in sets of 50 maps. I spend about 10 to 11 divines on scarabs and maps, and then I run them, and within the space of 20 maps I have made back everything purely on the stack decks alone, and I have 30 maps of complete profit. Complete profit. I make back 10 to 11 divines within 15 to 20 maps, and then I'm looking at having another 10 to 15 to 20 divines plus of just pure profit. And that's from the stack decks alone. That's not including the T16 map drops, that's not including raw divines in the ritual shrines. There's so much. I mean, I dropped a Hinakora's Lock. That got me 50 divines, just, you know, just casually. You can't rely on stuff like that, but I mean, that's just an example of the fact that everything else it drops is profit. There are some people who, or not, sorry, some people, there are some strategies that rely around eventually getting drops like the Hinakora's Log, otherwise they're in a deficit, right? Otherwise they're not making money if they don't get that log. This is the other way around. We're guaranteeing our money and everything else is a bonus. So that's how I've got it. Now, you'll also see on here that in the footage here we've got Harbingers, and Harbingers are kind of the alternative to that. That is the more RNG based one. Obviously, it can target farm itself back. Not very well. I don't think it ever completely adds up. You get about 20 to 25 raw chaos every run. You get like 1 or 2 or 3 ancient orbs per run. You get a couple of annulment orbs per run. And it kind of pays for itself, but you don't get profit until you start hitting the fracturing orbs, the fracturing shards, and the mirror shards. And obviously those are nice. Those give you a nice big tink that the stack decks don't. However, if you don't get those big tinks, you don't get anything. It's an unfortunate, like, kind of gamble. So that's on the other spectrum of stuff, where it's like, it can feel really unrewarding until you actually get those big tinks, whereas, you know, the stack deck farm, you know exactly what you're gonna get. It's calculated. Everything is calculated, you know. And I mean, on the high end of stack deck farm that I did, you know, the highest amount of stack decks I've got in a map is 120. Now that's not going to happen. I should probably say that's not going to happen on a regular tier 16 map. At a certain point, to take the next step into the currency making, you have to advance to 8 mod maps. And then the next step after that is obviously tier 17. Most people, contrary to popular belief, your average gamers of PoE generally don't get to the point where their characters can just casually cruise tier 17 maps for currency. That's a false expectation that a lot of hardcore players within the game would have you believe, that tier 17 is, you know, you just get your character up there, make some currency, farm tier 17s, go. My character can't farm tier 17s now, because there are so many negative mods that if I find a tier 17 I can get, it's really janky, because I can't do anything revolving around like minus res, minus regional recovery, or minus block. It means for me to do tier 17 maps, I have to accept the maps that have ridiculously high critical multipliers and all these other stuff, and it's just kind of unpractical. And you need an entirely different level of DPS in order to do it, whereas, you know, you're seeing me run around here, and believe it or not, my AoE is only 300k at the moment because I don't have a proper weapon. So, you know, it's a completely different world. Obviously, that's where you want to go. Now, I will drop the links down below to all of the trees that I'm doing, as well as a nice resource for potential trees and opinions and stuff that's been put together by someone else. I have to say, Path of Exile Regex, Path of Exile Exchange, use them. If you once you've done the tier 16 version of your farm and you want to take it further, you've gained more currency and you want the next step, you will want 8 mods, and you will want T17s, and you will want versions of those that you can actually run. And there's only one way to get versions of those that you actually run, and it's either you look through the trade website, painstakingly investigating every single map that's listed, or you use Path of Exile Regex, get your Regex so that you know exactly what you can and can't use. And for those that don't know, Regex is a code which is generated by this website after you've ticked off all of the modifiers that you don't want to see. You'll just press, you know, copy my regex, and then you go to PoE Exchange. They've got an entire tutorial on the website as to how to use it, and you will basically find the maps that you want. And I can't recommend that enough. And I hope this helps, because a lot of people can get to the stage of mapping and it can feel really aimless, as you just find yourself running around in circles, going through Alcan Go style maps, using a couple of scarabs when you've got them, and you feel like your mapping experience is simply run around a red map until something of value drops to make you currency, or something valuable to your build drops and you can put it on. And it's a very horrible situation to be, because you'll just feel really aimless. So having a plan is important, and that's why I've kind of shared mine with you today. So hopefully that's helpful. My voice is going, I am still sick, so if you like the video or you've got any comments, please leave them down below, and hopefully I'll see you again for the next one. Bye bye.